Okay. So now everything you will say will be catched in YouTube. So be careful. I would like to uh, ask some more questions. Sorry, guys. Maybe it's too irritating, but and it's weird that there are so much. There's not much people here, but anyhow. So uh, actually, this course is organized as like and called acoustic phonetics, but there are also like three major parts of phonetics, and I want you to list them. This is like simple question. It's not like tricky one. It's just simple question. So when we analyze sound of this uh, sound that people produce, we can analyze it like in three different ways.
Are you talking about like the physical characteristics of sound?
Yes, it will be one branch. So for instance, we catch some physical characteristics like spectrum and so on. And this is like acoustic analysis itself. Yes, this is one branch. But also there are some parts that you discussed previously and we didn't discuss at all. So I want to pay your attention to the third one, but then we need to remember the another one. So yes, so during the production, there is something is produced, and we can analyze physical features of this. So spectrum, duration, and all this stuff. This is like acoustic phonetics. Cool. What else?
Maybe prosody and intonation.
Yes, but I'm so definitely yes, but this is not like fits into my question because prosody is like a different type of production. Yeah. So for instance, we have obstruents, we have nasals, but we have some suprasegmental features, and they are like governs everything, and they are can be discovered and researched in the same way. So for instance, if we so the techniques will be different and features will be different, but these main fields will be more or less the same. So it's not answers my question, it's just another type of sounds, let's say, or features of the speech. Yeah. But it's still can be researched asking three type of questions, and we discussed just physical features. Yes, so it's okay. What else? Okay, when there is silence, I think it's time to call for somebody. So, for instance, Anya, are you here with us?
Yes, I'm here, but I don't think I know the answer. I was thinking about phonology, but maybe not.
This is like a little bit different level. It's not about phonetics. It's more like about another language level. But I'm glad that you mentioned this. So that's cool.
Maybe I didn't get the question fully.
Yes. Because I'm asking this in a weird way. So it's not your fault. It's fault. So think of this as a process. Imagine that we are talking together, that we suddenly doing now, and something happening. Then there is some process that we can analyze. So, for instance, this acoustic features that we already discussed. This is one is the middle part, and then you doing something. And these are three steps, I guess. Maybe there are more, but anyhow. So how do we call the first part?
Production of speech.
Yes, or simpler articulation. In most cases, it's called articulation. However, sometimes articulation is called something that's happening after the vocal cords, so it's a strange term. But yeah, Sashi, I agree. Production of speech is something that we can study, and that's what you've discussed with Ina last time. So how should I move my tongue in order to produce E sound? In order to produce E sound, and it will be different from U sound, I need to do something with my articulators. So this is articulatory phonetics. After I produce some sound with my articulators, it's in the air and it can be catched by some mic, and I can study the acoustic features of the sound, and that's well. Okay, and there is a third part.
Auditory.
Perception.
Yeah, perception. Yeah, because you need to hear the sound, and it's possible that if I just will mumble everything, just about my mumbling, you need to understand and somehow distinguish whether I mumble in English or Russian. You need to perceive it just straight away in order to start analyzing this or misanalyze this. This is also a nice thing because you probably heard about this. There are a lot of different songs when there were intentional like one thing, but for some reason all people hear something else, and yeah, it's happened. So it happens. So there are three types of these kind of things, and what you've discussed was we mostly discussed acoustic phonetics. You discussed within articulatory phonetics last time, aren't you? Yeah. So you discussed this MRI or any fancy stuff in order to make more precise information about what moves where in the human body in order to produce speech. And we haven't any class on perception. And I wanted to briefly discuss it now. Maybe we'll have a proper lecture about it. But I want to imagine for a moment, what could you study there? And this is a question for you.
Which one are you referring to? Which branch?
To the perception.
Perception? Okay. Well, misunderstandings, you can first study how people perceive different types of sounds within the brain. So you can look at how it's perceived by doing tests. So differences in, for example, dialect, looking at how people perceive dialect as well as speed and different kinds of prosodies as well.
Oh, that's a lot of things. Thank you. That's really nice. I would like to make some smaller examples, but let's have what we have. So yeah, sure. The perception in general could be so. Since phonological research were based on some ideas that we have some minimal pairs in a language that distinguish some meanings. And for some reason, we just crying without not understanding the correct word. So they assume that there are different features that distinguish some sounds. But as you all know, those sounds have a tendency to change through time. And it's possible, for instance, have absolutely different sounds. So for instance, in, I don't know, Australian and English, that you have this weird stuff when you have, what do you have? When you have bed, probably without, so you have a sound and a sound. and this is weird for Russians, but you have something like map, and you have something like bed, and these sounds are different. And it appears that in Australian English, these bad sounds raised, so it became bed. And this is like, for some reason, when I hear Australian or New Zealand, I think New Zealanders tend to do this. When I hear New Zealanders, for some reason, this kind of dialect like just striking me. I want to do something with it because it's like really weird for me.
Canadian English is like that too. Like Canadian English with ooh kind of sounds. So like instead of saying about, they just say boot.
Yeah.
Like Canadian Minnesotan and oh, I don't remember. Maybe it's not quite Chicago, but like the Midwest in the Americas, like they also do that a lot.
So this is actually something like Canadian raise is something also well known in. So it's like famous thing. You can find it in different handbooks. So as you see, those kind of differences with this E sound, we still don't have anything in English that corresponds to this. So we have air that became E, but it's not like you have that had it previously. Yeah. And the idea that sometimes it's actually merged with some sounds that you had before. So for instance, imagine that it will become E, for instance. It will be beat. And then you will find out some minimal pairs that don't match at all. So they were minimal pair, but they don't now. And those kind of changes could be measured. And this is really nice thing. So for instance, I had more or less this kind of thing. So you, uh, so when you come to some society and you have a feeling that there is no any distinction in these kind of sounds, the only way to prove it is to have experiment with it. So imagine that I have minimal pair, and I worked in Nanai village in far east of Russia, near Khabarovsk. Um, and it looks like they had different E vowels. So they have E and something similar. And in order to check this, I would like to, what would you do? This is nice too. I actually didn't have this kind of experiment, but we can imagine what should I do? Apply for grant and so on. Please, what would you do?
I don't know, maybe just record some speech and find in checking what words these different E sound is present, and then try to find some correlations and find what influences that this sound appears.
This is the kind of problem. So mostly what you said, I totally agree with most of what you said. So definitely the idea to record some sound that you expect minimal pairs, but you can find them, you record them, and then I think your idea was to try to extract, for instance, format and try to understand whether they match, overlap, or they not overlap. Actually, I've done this. This is like could be done. So it should be here. Had this in my classes, so it should be here. And sorry, it will be in Russian, but don't care. I need this kind of graph. Probably here it's not so nice, so maybe I will draw the same thing, but with the speaker information. probably here. Get rid of this. And here, now it's tidyverse. And then, oh no, it's reduced data. Don't like it. Oh, maybe it's unfortunate. Maybe here. No. Wow. Okay, let's analyze this then. So we have this kind of plot, but this is one speaker, and this is the ideal situation. So maybe I will repeat. So here we have first format, here we have the second format, and this is E sound, this is this weird E sound. Maybe you have more or less the same in like English. So this difference between sheep and ship will be more or less like this kind of distinction. And here are some E sound, like in Australia, New Zealanders over here. Okay, so good. So U will be somewhere in the right corner, and R will be in the bottom that is not visible here. So this is just part of the overall something. But the reason I wanted to have this for different speakers, because they actually have different pictures. So this is the most different version. But maybe it's possible to search for this. Not this repository, all GitHub. Okay. No, maybe it's not so easy to find. Okay, so getting back to my point, because I think that you mentioned that you want to see something like this, Masha, aren't you?
Yeah, probably.
And this is the ideal situation because, as you've seen, those ellipses are not overlapping at all. They are different. And this is kind of proving the statement that they are different. You agree? But
Yeah.
the problem with statistics is very nice tool in order to show that something is different. But it's really bad in showing that something is not different. So if we had really overlapped ellipses, our stats won't say anything. So it won't be statistically significant, but we can conclude from this that sounds are the same. And this is like theoretical problem with frequency statistics that you probably learn now for some way. But you can do experiments. So since we distinguish these three things at the beginning, so we had articulatory phonetics, we have acoustics phonetics, and then we have perception phonetics. And if we want to think about this, what kind of experiment you can think of? Imagine that I already have a list of words that are that I expect them to be a minimal pair.
And we expect them to be minimal pair on relying on our perception probably, or why?
No, because of the other languages, for instance, or orthography or something. I had some evidence that one day it was different, but now I perceive this as a same sound. And there is also an option to ask speakers, but they can say a lot of different things because a lot of different things will influence them. So if in the language you have an orthography and then there is something distinguished by orthography, then they will claim that these are different sounds because there are different letters. So for instance, in Russian, you have the same. So for instance, if you ask anybody on the street what the difference between, I don't know, мясо, that is meat, and what, sala, so the first vowel over there, they will say that this is a different vowel. The one is ya and another is ah. So that's something that will happen all the time. So you don't, you can't rely much on the speaker's opinion about sounds. Sometimes you need to do it because if somebody even though that somebody think that something is different, it also can be tricky. And I had a lot of problem just working with my informants and having, so for instance, in my Andy, when I work in Andy, I had this problem that they have our orthography. And in our, you have, they don't distinguish sh, that is fricative, lateral fricative sh, and lateral affricate. So there are clear minimal pair like llurlla and llurlla. There is definitely different words. They perceive that, yeah, they sound differently, but one is stronger, then weaker, and something like this. And then you come into the fight with your informant that you want to write it in your way, not his way, and so on. So this could be a tricky thing. So imagine that we have these words like llurlla and llurlla. But the other way around, sorry. So we have two monosyllabic words that you expect it to be different sounds, but you hear that they are the same sounds. What can you do with it? If you have an access to informants.
Could you repeat, please, what kind of a situation are we in? What do we have?
We have two words. Imagine, let's simplify to two words. I have two words that sounds like pin and pin. And something, one means something and one means another something. And according to orthography or other related languages, I know that those sounds should be different. And I came to my village, collected those sounds, and found out that for my ear, they sounds exactly the same. What should I do? What can I do? Having, and there is also a small piece of background. During the last 15 minutes, I'm talking about perception all the time. So
Thanks.
you're welcome. Okay.
But does it mean that they sound, they're the same to your ear, but native speakers say that they're different? Like these words.
Yes, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. I don't know what kind of formulation you had, because it's possible, but sometimes native speakers lying to you, or the vision on sound system of the language of your system and native speakers can be a different pictures, let's say. So your view on this could be different. So sometimes native speaker can think, as in the example of ya and a sound in Russian. As a linguist, we clearly don't think that there is no any ya sound. It's just a sound, but with the pluralization of previous consonant. But if we ask native speakers, there will be a huge amount of them that will treat this as their different vowels, if we just ask them. But we can clearly justify if we have a minimal pair, like pin and pin, kin and pin, with the same length, or something. So what can we do, Anya?
I'm not sure, because what can we do about what?
So I
Like,
expect, so
are we supposed to find out if these words are different, if these are minimal pairs, or what?
yes, I want to know whether they are different words or there is the same word with the different meanings. And the idea of asking informant straight away is bad. Measuring acoustics is nice, but it will show me a significant difference if they are different. If they are the same, it won't be possible to conclude to make any conclusions.
Well, can we try to find some other pair that will have like, so the difference between two words will be like in this sound, in this particular sound.
Yes, and the setting is that we already had this word. So this is word pin.
Okay, so I'm confused now. So we have a few pairs that are different only in, like, I mean, so two words in each pair is different from another, only just, how to say it, in one sound.
Yes, there is a word pin that I expect to be different. So it will be pin or and something different pin. So I expect them to be two different acoustic words with two different linguistic meaning. And it appears that meaning are there, but acoustic words for me sounds the same. They are sound the same. Is it possible to have an experiment that will show me that they are the same or they are different?
But if they are different, we can look in their mouth, how it all happens in their mouth. It should be different, yes, if the sounds are different. I mean, the work of articulation organs.
This is tricky, but the answer will be more or less the same. Looking at the mouth is not a polite thing to do, but if you have any fancy stuff that you've discussed with Ina previously, then you will have more or less the same problem as any statistics. If there is any difference, it will show you that there is some difference. If there is no, you can't conclude anything.
But why? Okay, so imagine we had this test as one of those, and we looked in the mouth, and we observed that sounds are pronounced exactly the same. I mean, the work of articulation organs so is the same. So even having that, it's not enough to conclude the sounds are different. Yes?
Yes, because afterwards you run some statistical test. For instance, imagine that we have one measure for it. So it will be one numeric value for it. And then we see on the graph that the distributions are the same. Then you run t-test, for instance, you probably discussed t-test during your stat courses, aren't you?
Yeah, we did.
So you run t-test and you receive a p-value higher than 0.05. What do you do next? They probably told you that after this you can cry for a little bit, but if you have a huge amount of data, so something like trustable amount of data, you still can't conclude that there is no difference in this measure, because it's possible what this p-value will say to you in the t-test is that you, assuming that null hypothesis is right, what is the probability to see such a data? And it doesn't say that the idea, if the p-value is small, then you see, oh, this is too weird to null hypothesis to be right. And then afterwards you can conclude, that means that the null hypothesis is wrong. So those groups are different. But when you have the same situation, this is like, you can't conclude that null hypothesis is wrong. It's impossible to make any decision on this level. So maybe I will reveal my answer. It's simple as it, I don't know. I don't know why maybe you expected to me to have something complicated, but or too scary to say. But we will need to have some perception experiment. Imagine that we have some context that two words can appear. For instance, we have, I don't know, words with the meaning brush and word with the meaning wood. And then you have a sentence, I see the brush or the wood. Maybe the wood isn't not good English, but anyhow. So if you have those sentences, you can ask some speaker to say this sentence without any brush and tooth. So you can cut off this word and replace with another. And after this, firstly, you can just use the same sentence and ask, what does it mean? If some speakers, even without any manipulation, if some speakers will say, okay, that means that and then if you have variation, that means that it's clear sign that the sounds merge together. Because if you have variation, that means that speakers don't perceive them as different. If you don't have any variation, they consistent in they saying what is what, then it looks like you are not hearing the difference, but it's there. Is it simple?
Can we repeat everything one more time? So we had words, pin and pin, for example, and they meant different things, yes?
Yes.
Um,
But I perceived it as the same word. Maybe sheep and sheep.
mhm.
Let's play around with the English words, if it will be easier. So we have sheep and we have sheep. Russian, for non-trained Russian ear, it will be the same. So E there is the same. The problem is that the difference in those sound in English, I think probably in most varieties, is also in the duration of the sound. So that's why, for instance, Russian speakers are really bad in asking sheet of paper. They all the time mess with it. So the difference is in duration in the vowel quality. So imagine I'm a Russian speaker that decided to learn some English, and I'm recorded some words, and then I have a sentence that I see a sheep and I see a sheep. And then I played to the native speaker, and then native speaker, if the native speaker consistently match this with the correct words, that means that they are different. If native speakers have variation, so for instance, for the first sentence, half of them said one thing and half of them said another thing, or most of them said something. For instance, it's possible that it will be for both sentences. For instance, everybody will treat it as a animal. Imagine like this situation.
Mhm.
Just because frequency of the word will do the thing also. So it's not like they will be 50-50, but if you don't have any distinction, then you expect that the distribution between different groups will be more or less the same.
So okay, now I see.
Cool. So this is small introduction this is like simplest perception experiment that you can run. Okay. But what would you do with English, but with the English that has this distinction of duration, and you want to show that this kind of duration feature is the feature. So imagine that again, I have those words, sheep and sheep, but I treat them as the same, so they have different meaning. I suddenly realize that there is duration there, and I want to show, so proof that there is a difference in duration. What can I do?
Pratt should definitely catch it.
Sorry?
We can find it out with Pratt, probably.
Yeah. If we treat, again, the problem is all the way around. So imagine that we don't hear any difference in duration, and Pratt definitely will say to us, so we can automatically extract duration of those sounds and then run t-test. And if it differ, it differ, but if it's not different, what should we do? Maybe I will repeat this situation multiple times today. Okay.
But it's strange that, I mean, Pratt is such a formal thing, and it catches everything till the very small amounts of time. And why doesn't it catch this? And the perception of speakers is more significant.
It will catch it. But Masha, again, my question not about what to do if you want to prove that something is different. I want to prove something is the same. So imagine that I run into some funny native speakers that, for instance, lived in Russia for the whole life. And for some reason, the parents forbidden them to watch TV or something. So they communicated only with these Russian inputs and the English. So they probably had this merged. So the duration of those sounds became similar. And I want to study those people. And I have a feeling that their duration will be more or less the same. So in order to prove it with the same duration, that the duration is the same, it's hard to do with the t-test that we already discussed. Okay.
But the original question was about like if this duration matters at all. Why can't we just run the very same test? Like, what's the difference, quality or duration? Like, I mean, quality or quantity. Like, it doesn't matter, right?
That was my intention, but for some reason it didn't went well. Yeah, you don't care about what kind of feature you analyze. Could be duration, tone, or something. Yeah, but the main theme that I try to promote is that if you analyze something and you want to prove that something is different, use usual statistical tests. It will work well if you're right. If you want to prove that something is the same, you are in trouble. You need to have tricks in order to show that something is working, because just t-test won't show you that you're right. But I also wanted to think, so we all agree about this duration thing, can't we? So it's possible to measure this, but the duration has also a nice thing, because it's when we have something like vowel quality or stress or something, it's actually binary opposition in most cases. It's actually done, but anyhow, in most, so imagine that in those cases that we had, the opposition was binary, either this sound or not, or this one. But when we have duration, it's nice feature that we actually, it's gradual. Here is a trick that I want to show you. So I close this. Maybe I close everything. Except Zoom probably. So for now I can close this, and definitely I need to close this. Okay, so prot. Imagine that I have some new word. Oh, okay, it's here. Will it work for me? So let's record some words. Sheep. Uh-oh, I don't like this. Go away. Here is our word. And you clearly see that this is a vowel. Maybe for this part, maybe even for this part. This is weird part. Maybe it's not a vowel. Maybe it's echo. Is it? No, it looks like it's the vowel. Okay, so we have this E vowel over here. Are you agree? You have the simple word sheep. You can hear it, aren't you? Cool. So here is the vowel. For some reason it have different intensity, but never mind. If we turn on formants, it will catch all formants that we have here. So here is the first formant. Here is the second formant. Everything is brilliant. So this is a nice trick that you can do sometimes, is to cut off some cycles. So this is really long E, isn't it? So if you go here, for instance, and maybe for a moment, let's, somebody will remember number, for instance, 0.6, okay? Can somebody do it for me? So 0.6 is the number. And I will try to make a trick. The idea is to select, for instance, this portion. And maybe can do like this to this. Uh-oh, it was wrong. Oh, this is good. So I cut it out, something. It will be probably visible. but it's hard to hear. So now it's a little bit smaller. So this sound is still, but I think it's less. The duration is less. Yeah, there is no any artifacts. So let's try to do more cutting. So I select this and cut until this, or looks nice. What I'm pressing is just Control X. That is standard for cut. But you can do something like edit. No, probably file. No, I can't remember how to do it. So maybe I need to select something. Edit. Yeah, here you have cut. So if you want to do it with the, not with the hotkeys, but with the mouse, please do it like this. Okay, so now it's more or less 5. Yeah, it definitely reduced in its duration, as you see, and it still sound good, I think. Sheep. Here there is an artifact actually. Can you hear it? I don't know whether it helped you. It will help you. Sheep. Can you hear the artifact? It's here. So if you can hear it, you can see it. So this is the artifact. Out, out, out. Oh, in. So this line is actually artifact. Because if, so what I've done, I tried to zoom in and cut from the 0 value to 0 value, because it will mean that I don't produce any differences. If it's possible to do it like, actually there is something like move to the nearest 0. I think there is an option for this. Maybe select. Yeah, here. Move cursor to. No, it's not here. I thought that I've seen that before. So anyhow, so the idea that I cut, so if you cut it wrongly, so for instance like this, you will produce artifact like this. So here I got it by just the way I just put it mouse without any preparation. And there is a line over here that appears. This line is in the artifact. She. But it's not audible anyhow. So why I'm showing all this and what is the trick? So I can cut this vowel and cut cycle by cycle. And what can I do with it? What do you think?
Are you gonna play to the speakers?
Yeah. The idea that you can place to the speakers. And for instance, imagine that we have this feeling that, for instance, 2 seconds. So for instance, we take native speakers and we have 2 vowels that have the difference in duration. We proved it with the t-test. But then you can actually measure where this duration came into play. So how long should be the sound in order to be perceived as a long one? And you can cut, for instance, 10 milliseconds, so for instance, you have a long sound and you cut off by 10 milliseconds and you have this small step. So for instance, we will 200, 190, 180, and so on and so on. So you have these small steps, and you can play around with different speakers, try and ask them to evaluate, not in the row. So it's better not to do like here this, and this, but mixing with different things. And afterward, you will get this idea about whether whether there is a border that they perceive differently. Okay, does it make sense?
Yes, it does, but there's never an exact boundary, like never.
Yes, that's true. But then you need to have a fancy statistics for this. I think it's possible to have, I'm pretty sure that it's possible to model this as having this boundary. It won't be like, so it won't be like, boom, and then they perceive everything differently. There is definitely an overlap. So we have two concepts of short vowel and long vowel, and they overlap somewhere. And the idea that you need to evaluate where you have this overlap. Okay. But yeah, I definitely agree that this boundary will be not like a straight line, but more like an area. The size of this area could be different for different speakers, and the position of this area, this also could be different. So for instance, some speakers will decide that more shorter sounds and some more longer and so on, including all social linguistics that Michael Daniel probably prone on you. So including all these features. So for instance, old, young, male, female, or any other genders. So this all will play, you can put in the model. Okay, so this is the perception experiment number 2. And you can do it in prod, it's simple. The more simpler thing will be, so for instance, we have this difference in geminates and non-geminates, and it's even easier. So for instance, we have, do you have any Italian person here? Probably not. Do they have, so imagine that we have some weird Romance language with that distinguish gatto and gatto, okay? And we can do more or less the same, and it will be even easier because there is a silence there. We don't, so we shortening the silence part and trying to estimate where speakers will treat this as a 1T, not the geminate one. Okay. So all the time when you have duration, it's easy to play around with prod with it, and this is a nice thing to do if you have some intentions. Is it more or less clear?
Yes, I just wanted to ask, I'm sorry, maybe I'm asking because I was late, but why do we run those like tests, like perception tests, to find out whether like we have different phonemic like different phonemes in these words, or why do we need these tests?
I would say other way around. So we have t-tests that will, so if we analyze duration, we can collect duration from different sounds and then run t-test and it will say it's different. The problem is that if we want to prove that something is similar, then it's not possible to do with the frequency statistics, and probably with Bayesian statistics, it'd also be a tricky thing to do. But running simple perception test will prove that something is similar.
I see.
So the logic all the time the same. If you want to prove that something is different and you're pretty sure that it is, so just visualize you see different peaks, run t-test, you have everything you want. If you want to prove that there is no difference in something, you are in a really bad situation, because it's impossible to do with frequency tests that you learn, and it's really tricky thing. But you're not in a big trouble, since you have this ability to run some experiments, and then you need to have more different types of statistics. But anyhow, the idea that it will be easier to prove that something is similar using these perception tests. Okay.
Yeah, I see. Thank you.
Cool. So now we changed duration. And at the beginning, when nobody have been here, I've asked some question about Inna's lecture on that was before the previous one. And we found out that it was about suprasegmental features. And by suprasegmental features, I will try to, so for now, I would say that I'm interested in pitch mostly. So anything that connected to pitch. It actually could be stress, but sometimes stress is not like pitch alone. So it's not like pitch, but something else. So it could be stress, but in most cases we are talking about intonation, and we talk about tones, and probably we talk about war. No, nothing. For some reason, I decided there should be something else, but good one. So is it possible to manipulate those things? So the goal is more or less the same. So I repeated it more than twice today. So imagine that I have a language and I have two tones there, and I can collect tone contours and show that they are different. But what if I want to prove that they are similar? Or if I just really happy to run some perceptual experiments, and I like to learn something from it. What could I do? So how to manipulate pitch? Maybe I can do the even funny thing. I can do something like this. Edit. Or maybe it's not so funny.
Are you trying to show something?
No, not yet. Okay. No, it's not working. Okay, so please raise your hand if you think that it's possible to manipulate pitch in Pratt. There is an option in Zoom to do this. Hooray, Anya Sarokina raised her hand, but then decided not to do this. Maybe she wanted to.
I just realized you saw this, so I.
No. Keep it, please. What do you think? Is it possible to manipulate pitch in Pratt? Okay. It looks like everybody thinks that it's impossible to do in Pratt.
We're just hesitating.
Okay. Cool. There's another solution. Mansur. Great choice. Hooray. It's not raised the hand. Okay. So maybe you have three opinions, but everybody hesitates. But you don't have any data for answering this question. So I'm clearly with you that it's hard to say. So from what we showed you, there is no possible to, it was impossible to do in prod. But I will show how to do it. So right now, I'm sharing my screen. Probably I have a prod over here. And probably it's nice to create something like longer sound. So remove this one and create new one. And what time is it now? Okay. Oh, I have 10 minutes exactly for this. Nice. So let's record. Math. Wait a minute. We need some ambiguous sentence in English. Oh, English is weird language because they have the question structure is different. Yeah, it's impossible to have an English. So maybe, no, it's possible. Okay. I don't know whether it's possible to ask a question in English. So we have something like this. I don't know whether it's possible to ask a question in English. And maybe this is not nice sentence. I would like to have another one. I don't know why we are asking our questions in English. This is a tricky sentence because I have this part. Our questions in English. Maybe this part. Our questions in English. No, something. What's going on? I don't know why we are asking our questions in English. Okay. So it starts from why is here? Why here? So we have this part, and probably I want to read off the rest. Why we are asking our questions in English. So this is perfectly nice and sounds like a complement sentence. So we have something I don't know in the beginning, and then why I'm asking the questions, questions in English. Yeah, sure. Maybe we'll remove this hesitation, don't care about, and this, don't care about. Why we are asking our questions in English. Okay, something like this. So is it possible to make it a question? Sure, yes. So we have this sound over here. I remove this one. And there is something that called, maybe it, no, okay, maybe I know. So manipulate, to manipulation, okay, and then you did it. So in order to do this equation, why we are asking our questions in English? We expect something like this, can't we? Yeah. So this is a new window. So this is what in order to get there, I press manipulate to manipulation, and then manipulation untitled. This is just manipulation, and untitled is the name. And then I press view and edit, and this is a new editor. In this editor, I can edit a lot of things. So here, this green one is actually a pitch. I probably want to read off. So this is defined as as dots. So imagine that we have these dots and they are define our pitch. So these are something weird. So maybe I can just select them and remove. Maybe I need to do it like this. So pitch, remove pitch points. It was just strange things. So why we asking our questions in English? So it doesn't change anything. Why we asking our question? Why we asking our questions in English? So why is here? Why? What we can do easily is just to do something like shift pitch frequency by what? 80 hertz. Why are we asking our questions in English? Why are we asking? Why are we asking? Why are we asking our questions in English? Why are we asking our questions in English? I would say I would like to manipulate with English. So maybe it makes sense. In English. In English, I would like to do something English. I don't know whether it's natural or intonation, but where we have it. Is it? So is this English? Sorry, I messed up. English. Oh, it's here, somewhere here. English. And this is probably E. So let's do something like this. Pitch, shift pitch frequency by not so high, probably like 20, no, 30 hertz, like this one. Why are we asking our questions in English? Oh, I think this is nice. I think that I think that I succeeded in making a question of it. So something like this. So that's how you manipulate pitch in front. So now is yeah.
Can you show one more time what places we should click?
Yeah, sure. After a break, I will show it. So now I just wanted to demonstrate what, the abilities. Okay. So getting back, there is all the time it's just pitch, but it's actually you can move it by hand, I think, or at some points probably something like this. So it's possible to move them like this. So you can move them by hand or just select or remove some points, whatever you want. There is also a duration point over here. This is thing that make it possible to make something longer or shorter. So let's is duration, add duration. So maybe I will do like this. So I add duration point over here. So this line is 1. So maybe I do it like this. Oh no, it doesn't work. Okay, so maybe put it here. So duration, add duration point at the cursor. So here it is. And then let's do here, add duration point and the cursor. And then let's add duration. Uh-oh, it's not what I wanted. Add duration point. And here, add duration point. And the idea, if I want to make something slower, I want to drag it over here. I think this will be a solution. So this is my English. So what this graph shows, this will be more or less natural speed the whole time. Then over here, I want to have slower. It became slower, and then it became an increase in frequency. Let's hear it. Why we asking our questions in English? Nothing changed, I think. Why? Should I do it like this? Or maybe it's too small. Maybe I need to make it drastic. Let's add another duration point over here. Okay. Why we asking our questions in English? Oh, maybe I'm doing it faster. Why we asking our questions in? Maybe I need to go here. Always messing up with this. Oh no. Please be draggable. No. I want to drag you. Oh no. Okay. There is always a simple solution if you don't like. Okay, maybe I can. Okay. Over here. Why are we asking our questions in English? Like this. Yeah. So you drag up in order to increase duration and drag down in order to make something faster. And this is better solution than cutting something. Oh no, where is Zoom? Ah, it's here. Stop share. It's better solution than cutting something by hand because it's actually making slower the actual sounds and faster the actual sounds. So it's better to check those duration things, just increasing this part using this manipulator. Okay. Do you have any questions? So now I can manipulate with tone, so with the pitch, sorry, and with the duration of the sound. Isn't it beautiful? So,
It is.
cool. Thank you. So now I think it's time to have a break for 10 minutes. Then probably I would like to have you spend some time on your practicing this stuff. And then probably we'll start talking about fun field work again. Okay. So 10-minute breaks. Meeting here in 10 minutes, so 42 at 42. Type 1 if you are here. Hey, people are here. So task for now is just record some sentence in any language that you want. Oh, I found out that Vanya Tsuzova is twice here. That's overblowing the amount of people. So the task here is to record some sentence. It's nice if it will be ambiguous, and change pitch in order to make something else. So Russian speakers can change any sentence to question sentence. English speakers can do more or less the same thing that I've done. Wanshu, I think, have a lot of things to play with. So for instance, change one word to another. I really forgot, but I had a feeling that your native speaker is Chinese, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. So you can change one mar to another, since you have different mars.
Give me a phone.
Sorry?
Open.
For some reason I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Now it's better. So the idea that you can change one Chinese word to another, just changing tone,
Yeah.
but play around with it.
You mean mom means mom. And
For instance,
the,
yeah.
if you change the third form, ma, it means horse.
Yes, I know. The idea that record one of them and try to change pitch in prod, in order to make another MR. Okay? So we're now playing around with this pitch manipulation stuff. And if you have any questions, just ask me. I'm here playing with some toys.
I think I'm lost.
Where?
I recorded the sound and then clicked to manipulate, and then he wanted, and then I was lost. I did not know what to do further. I tried view to say view then, but he showed me a different picture from what he showed us.
Okay. Let's see your screen if it's possible.
Okay, let's try. Oh, I even closed Pratt. Okay, wait a moment.
No problem.
So, wait a little bit. I now will record sound one more time because I closed Pratt. It's just a second.
Sorry, where is this manipulate button located? I can't find it.
So you click to click sound and then manipulate on the right side and then to manipulation.
So now I'm ready, but I'm sure that you will you see the screen I want. But let's try. So, do you see
Yes.
my window now? Okay.
That's okay. Okay.
So here you see that he like a small rectangle that asks me for time step, minimum pitch, and maximum pitch, and what does it want from me?
So exactly what you listed. So it wants information about what kind of how grid so how to create a grid for you. So time step, I think it's possible to leave it as it is. Minimal pitch is the minimum, and maximum pitch is 600. It is a huge number. I would expect that it will be more than 300 or 400 max. But anyhow, you can press OK and we'll leave with it. Yes, okay. And you have a new manipulation, and then you can press view and edit. View and edit. Oh, and you have it. That's it. I can't see the whole screen, but you're definitely in there.
Okay, but it seemed to me that it was different when you showed it, but okay.
Yeah, but maybe because the dots, so for instance, you have blue dots and I have green one.
Yes,
That's the difference.
it confuses me a lot. Okay.
I'm sorry about it. I think that it's possible that Macs, for some reason, have another coloring than Linux and Windows, but I suspect that you're on Windows.
And this is my problem. I think I have completely different names of this.
Maybe Xusha can stop sharing, and then Anya, you can start sharing.
Yes. Wait.
Okay. And then Anya can start sharing. Okay, this is definitely wrong because it's just spectrogram, osteogram and spectrum. So let's close it. I probably can't see the whole screen because it's possible that you shared only one.
What should I do? Sorry. To open another.
No, can you share the whole screen if it's possible?
I think it was a full screen.
Ah, yeah. So maybe share that again. Sorry, maybe I confused you. No, you don't want to share anymore. Oh, that's
It's
beautiful.
okay. It's okay. It's the first time I use Praat on Mac. So
Okay. So here, see the sound, and now I want you to press manipulate.
oh, I see. Oh, okay.
And then to manipulation, then you have this more or less the same settings. Don't care about them. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. View and edit, and you will be there.
Yeah,
Cool.
thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. And you indeed have blue dots. Am I the only person who have green one? This is strange. Ksusha, you're using Windows, aren't you?
Ksusha, yes. Yes, I'm using Windows.
Okay. Oh, that's nice to know. So the green dots are only for Linux users. Cool.
They are more nice, I think. Green ones.
Yes, I do think so. But on Mac, they have more, so they have blue selection and everything on Mac. And I think this is much better than pink one on Windows and Linux.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, I'll be happy to answer.
Okay, now I will show my screen one more time. So, do you see it?
I would say yes.
So, do you see my like red point?
Yes, I do.
Why can't I move? It seems like I can't move it here. Why?
You can't, because there are a lot of different points in the left. So the idea of the point is that you have like a variable that you can change according to y-axis in here. Because on x-axis you have time,
x-axis is this, yes?
No, this is y-axis. X-axis is from the left to right. This is time, and you can't change, so you can't drag it to some other time point. So the idea that in the selected time, you can change pitch that is on y-axis. So if you select one, you can drag it up, yeah, upwards over there. Yeah.
Okay, I found. Okay, thank you.
And it's also possible to select multiple of them and move all of them if you want to.
Okay. One more question. Can't I see here it is closer?
Sure, you can select some oscillogram part, select something over there. You select it, and then you have the same button as previous. So in the left corner, you have select.
Okay. I see.
Oh,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. So if you succeeded in changing your sentence or word or something, please type 2 in the chat. 2. Okay, a lot of people succeeded. That's nice.
How do we change the duration?
So the idea that you create some points on the duration tier, and then, so for instance, the idea is to create 3 points and then change the middle one.
How
Because
do you create one?
how to add one?
Yeah.
Okay, so you just go there. For instance, there you have selection, then you go duration, add duration point at cursor. Also, it says that you have Control plus D as a hotkey. So you add there and you can change it afterwards.
Yeah, I see. Thank you.
You're welcome. Six out of 12. Oh, out of 11. So 5 people are struggling with something, or should we continue, or? Are there any people who had any questions or problems with solving this puzzle? It appears there are none. Okay. So from now, I want to continue to discuss with you from fieldwork. We started this once. Then we had a small break afterward. So I want to continue to do this. In order to work with it, let's create a folder with, I don't know, 3 short sounds, like for instance, cook, cook, kick, or something like this. So record in prod 3 separate sounds as a separate files, and then save it somewhere in, so somewhere in the folder. of your computer, and I would expect from you, close this, and open our studio, and I would expect from you, in order to be prepared for everything, I would like you to type library from fieldwork. And before it, it will be setvd path to your folder list files. Something like this. Sending it to the chat. No, not sending it. Chat, where are you? You're here. Okay, and I will try to record something myself. So I've done everything, and for me it looks like this. So I put a path to my folder. There are 3 files that called 1, 2, 3, and there is library from fieldwork, and there is also a vector with recorded stimuli, something like this. So yeah, I expect from you to do more or less the same.
How to understand what path I have to my folder, how it looks like?
This is complex. This is a really complicated question. Well, because it's system related. But I would say that if you see your file in the folder, then you can right click on this file and see properties, and there is a path over there. So path started from, on Windows, it started from,
Расположение, yes?
yes. So it starts from C
Mhm.
slash and something like this.
So, and probably for this task, as it happened several times ago, all letters should be not Russian ones, yes? English ones.
No, it's possible to have Cyrillic one, I guess.
Several ones I tried, and I never had success during classes when we had to use computer and path. And that's why it was all complicated, very complicated. But okay, I will try one more time.
And you have Cyrillic in there?
Yes.
Can you share a screen? Maybe I can have a small trick for this.
But I um I invented one more where I used English letters, but I just remember that it didn't work for some reason. So just wait a moment and maybe I will fix it myself, and then I will ask you if I don't. Mhm.
Well, because I also have error because I want to change the word cell. Please don't know why.
For some reason, you have this echo. So I really hear more like electronic voice, not like you. Can you, maybe you can type? Because I can't hear you. Sorry, Vanshu.
Sorry, do we create a vector of character elements, not the files and sounds? Yeah.
Yes, yes, just stimuli list like vector of characters.
Okay.
Vanshu, for some, I feel bad that I can hear you. But have you managed your problems? Or you have it, or are you typing? Ah, okay. You can't change the working file. What do you call by working file? In our studio? Uh-oh. So this setvd is actually changing working directory. And it's nice to have an arrow, to see the arrow that what kind of arrow you have.
Am I right that we have different paths, yes, depending on the document?
No, you have one path to the folder where you store your audio and nothing else.
Audio?
Audio. Because I have one folder that's called desktop and new folder, and here is new folder with 3 sounds, and there is nothing else there.
But what if I don't have it? I I can use alias or how?
Maybe you can create one.
Mhm. So I should create a file. Okay.
Folder, put their files, and that will be okay.
Actually, I have the same problem, and I have it all the time. I'm like really depressed about this pass because it doesn't work with me. Can I show you this? Maybe you'll help me once and forever.
Okay.
If you have Windows, you should change the backslashes to normal slashes and then it works.
Okay, I will try now. Thank you.
Windows user, or you can change all slashes to all backward slashes that you have to the double backward slashes. Windows
Why
users
so
suffer.
Yes, I did it.
Hooray.
Thank you.
If you manage to create files and folders, please type one to the chat. Oh no, I'm sharing the thing that I didn't want to share. Okay, so please type in the chat if you're ready for continuing work. Oh, one. Okay, you can't change working directory. This is kind of weird. Can you share your screen, Vanshul? This is weird. Why do you? Maybe that's because you have a wrong path. So maybe this Windows thing should help you. So change backward slashes to the right one. Okay. So try to remove this. Try to remove this in the set. So start with the setvd function. And then type parentheses, and then type quotation marks, and then type C, and then type tabulation, tab, and it will, no, not, just stop with the C and then press tab. I would expect them to have autocompletion for you. Twice tab or something? No, you don't have it.
Can I ask? No.
No, for a moment, I think we're trying to fix something with Banshee. Okay, maybe start typing. First, you can type on the 14th line if you want. But anyhow, let's try with the colon. No, this is backslashes. Yes, this one, but maybe with the another direction. So this one. Windows users help me. What should be there? Masha.
Yes, I use normal slashes, but Anya used two double backslashes and that worked too, I think. So
But
Yeah, you did.
after C, do you need 1 slash or 2?
2. I had 2. Let me check.
2 normal slashes. Okay, so
2 backward slashes I had.
okay, so then backward slashes as you started before. But it's weird. Are you sure that you don't have tabulation over there? Because tabulation like doing auto-completion for you. So maybe let's try another. So let's try in another line. So go to the beginning of the line, for instance, and then enter, and then try set, and then stop, and then press. This is tabulation that you typed onto. Now, oh no, set V, for instance, V, and then tabulation. Because I want to have more or less the same menu. Do I have this? I have, oh no. Okay, no, so I want to, I think you can find the tab button in your computer, Gunshu. Can you find it? Because it will help you to do the right path. Or anyhow, you can type another thing. I think on the 11th, let's change set to get, and then type get WD, because it will say what is your like set VD, but just with get. So start with the G at the beginning. No. At the beginning, you change S to G. Yeah. Then parenthesis, and then hit Control Enter. So this how your path should looks like. So copy and change in order to get path to your. And now it says it's okay. So if you change, then this so use this kind of template in order to find your path. It sounds a little bit philosophical, but I think it's doable. Are we cool now? So yeah, cool. So then change this path that you have to some path where you have the folder with the files. Okay. So I hope you're ready to continue. There are more ones. Again, this list files command. So when after you set VD correct folder, this list file commands will show your name of the files, and I expect them to be 1, 2, 3 or something like nameless. So don't rename files if you have something like kikukap or something in there. I want them to be more or less anonymous. Okay. Mm. The reason why I want it is because that's something that you could get when you work with sound recorder. Because if you record different sounds, what you get is something like date, and then something like number, and that's all. That's why I wanted to have something like this. Okay, then type 2 when you finish.
When we finish what?
Renaming files to
Ah,
one.
okay.
Uh-oh.
That list files function will list all the files in the folder, right?
Yes.
Okay. And
No,
it should be
there is-
so.
There is some exceptions actually, but yeah.
But it doesn't work for me, and
So let me
I
say
changed
something else.
slashes even, but it didn't work anyway.
Maybe you can share the screen and we'll find out.
Maybe. Okay.
Oh.
So I should have pressed run, yes.
So first thing, that slash is wrong. So you need to change slash.
This?
Yes, to forward slash. And set, so then one, no, not the last line, but the first line. And then control enter.
What should I do, you mean?
Press control plus enter.
Enter. Enter is
The arrow with the arrow like this.
uh-huh.
Okay, cool. It works. Then list files. Control and enter.
Uh-huh. Oh.
There is only one andiplosives.wav, and I expected you to have 1, 2, 3 or something like this.
Uh-huh. So I should put there some more. Yes, sounds.
Yes, and name them like 1, 2, 3 or something, because andiplosives will play around with what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. I see. Mm-hmm.
Brilliant.
By the way, names should be like you have WAV 123 or just 123.
1.wav, 2.wav.
Mm-hmm. Okay. the strange question. Should they be different? But maybe they will be just copies of one of the same file.
They could be, but there will be some problems because then you can distinguish them. So whether renaming and merging algorithm doing well.
Okay.
Different. I think that we can start doing something because it's like 20:30 and we are preparing too long. So I will share my screen. Probably close this and this. Yeah. So I'm sharing my screen. No, maybe for a moment I will stop sharing. So the idea behind the home fieldwork package is that you have go to the field trip and you have you have a question and you want to record some sound from speakers and you record those words. You have a list of words and you need to record and rearrange them. And the whole idea of home fieldwork is to do this for you. So the first, what you want to do is to present this list to your speakers. In order to do this, you can do different things. I find it's useful to create a presentation and just type arrows in order to show stimuli. So the first step there will be to show presentation. Then another thing, and this is a little bit different from different researchers, I would like to record one sound, one word per recording. So I just stop my recorder and then start it again. If the recording is wrong or something, I have a paper when I mark that is wrong, and I need to remove this file, and so on and so on. This is make really clean afterwards because then I have only one those things that I like, and as a result, I will have something like the list of the sound files more or less named as I presented. So 1, 2, 3, or actually it will be more complicated name, but the idea will be more or less the same. Afterwards, I want to rename them, pre-annotate them, merge together, probably merge together, then pre-annotate, and then do something. What do I mean by pre-annotation? Because in most cases, it's really so there is one student that I definitely just quit from theoretical linguistics because we asked to annotate a lot of sound. So she wrote a program for preparing this, and afterwards she became a really cool computational linguist. But now I think she quit linguistics, or maybe she's doing some linguistics, but she's doing this in not in academia. So this is good path, and I'm really happy for her. But a lot of things could be done differently. So we don't need to. So for instance, we need to annotate this. But what kind of annotation do we need? We need information about word. We need annotation. So for instance, we explore vowels. We need vowel boundary annotation, and so on and so on. And the idea that actually we can pre-made all these kind of annotation and make it possible to researcher just move boundaries, not creating any new annotation and so on and so on. And this is why von Fieldberg appeared and why I've created it. So first, I think that I had it on the web page. Let's have a look. So imagine I have instrumental phonetics this. And once we've discussed von Fieldberg, here, from this you can go to the doc page, and then we have get started. There is a longer text over there, but I will go through some pages. So I will do like more or less going through the manual. So the first idea is to create a presentation based on list of stimuli. So in order you not to search it, I will copy this to chat. That is here, chat. Hello, chat. Oh, new messages. Oh, everybody. So here it is. So the first idea that I have my stimuli over here. I have my files over here. And I have my stimuli over here. And this is corresponds to, so this kick is the 1, cook is the 2, and cock is the 3. This is really painful because so you can rename them, but if you do it by hand, it will take ages, because imagine that you have 200 words, for instance. Probably I do have something like this. So this is the more or less typical folder. So it's like this amount of files. That is, I selected 523 items. So we need to divide it by 2. So it more or less 250 words for one speaker. And this is quite old recording over here. So what if I want to create a presentation? So first, oh no, this is weird thing, but anyhow. So as I said, this is our directory, and probably I can show it here if I go files, go to working directory, and then yeah. So first I can just copy and paste it here. And this simple function from Fieldwork. So create presentation, where here I have my stimuli. So here I want just stimuli. Output file could be whatever you want. So it could be a blah, blah, blah. So don't think that this is fixed. This is a blah, blah, blah. Output directory is the path to the directory where you want this presentation to appear. And I will change it to desktop. So just desktop. This kind of syntax is Linux syntax, so don't care about this. And probably Mac syntax, but I'm not sure about it. So you can change it. You actually can type getvd there, because getvd will give you the same folder as here, as setvd. And afterwards, when I run it, wow, for some reason it creates 2 copies of the same file, but I think this is an illusion. New folder, yeah, it's actually 1 copy. For some reason, it creates 2. So if so we can see that there are my sound file and this new HTML file. And you have this entrance, use arrows for scrolling, and then you have kick, cook, and calc, and you have here some page numbers that you can work with. Yeah, something like this. And this is HTML that could be presented and using computer, or even you can send it to the using anything to your phone and show it from the phone, tablet, or anything. This is simple HTML that will work everywhere. Okay. So for now, I would like to delete it, but because I want this folder to be out of other files, but I want to not let you know that it's possible to create this presentation and work with it. There is also an example what's going on here. So here is some examples. Here examples are tip, tap, and top, as you see. And there is also idea that it's possible to implement some images or GIF files in there. So you'll have, so you could have even more or less like video, like any images like here. So here is an example of images. So here is an art logo that I used in the presentation. Okay. So something like this. Is it more or less clear? So maybe create some presentation. I can copy code if you want over here. Earlier in Word, there was a nice trick, but they broke it. They broke it like, so the idea was that you have a Word file when you list your words, and then you rename it to PPTX, I think, and then it became presentation, and it was brilliant, but now it's not working, I think.
Can you share your screen one more time? How it looks on here?
Actually, I copied the code to the chat.
Yes and no. I just wanted to check whether it looks the same if you copy it.
Okay. So have you succeeded?
He said that he can't find function create presentation.
Okay, that means that you didn't turn on library from fieldwork. That's all.
How to turn it on?
Type library from fieldwork and then press Control plus Enter. And you'll please type what number is currently 1 if you succeeded with the creation of presentation. Yo, Anya was the first. Sasha was the second. Natasha was the third. Sydney, cool. You're the fourth. Oh no, you're actually the fifth. I forgot something. Sorry, Masha, I forgot you. Ksusha.
Yes, I'm sorry that I didn't turn over the sound. But Now he shows no mistakes, but I do not understand where the presentation is.
In your working directory.
What is working directory?
This is the path that you put it in the top of the script.
Ah,
And put it
you mean
here.
folder?
Yes, folder. Directory and folder is the same.
Ah, so now I see.
Okay. So don't forget to, so if you played, so if you succeeded, that's cool. Don't forget to remove it for the further stuff. Cool, Vanchu. Great. Ksyusha, okay. So I think we all succeeded with the presentations. It's not like,
No, well, it didn't work for some reason. I don't know what happened.
then share the screen. Okay.
What's that?
Maybe this is because of the Cyrillic. Yeah, this is because of the Cyrillic. Oh no, Cyrillic. And spaces. Oh no.
Okay, what am I supposed to do?
So is it possible to ask you to create a folder on the desktop?
Yeah, and rename the files. Not the files, but like, I mean, this vector.
Vector is okay. Stimuli vector is cool.
Ah, okay.
But maybe it will make complication in the further. So maybe vector change vector too. So yeah, that's a good point.
Okay.
Yeah, the problem is that it's not like it doesn't like Cyrillic. It actually does, but like it. But the problem is that there is a problem of encoding that's going on there, and you have different mismatches between R Studio, R, and your system. And lately, for instance, we really had a huge trouble with this during the school on R data analysis, like in February, because R updated. No, our studio updated. Oh no, who was updated? I think R was updated and crushed everything, and it was like, and it spread like virus actually because it's lifted from computer to computer for some reason. I don't know, and didn't merge to one operation system. That was awful. So if you want to reduce your pain on Windows, it makes sense to remove Cyrillic non-Latin letters from there, and maybe even non-SCI. So, for instance, Polish letters that could be that technically Latin is not Latin for R. Okay. So, is it better, Anya? Okay.
Sorry, yeah, I think so. So it works, but I haven't found this file yet, but I mean in the folder. But
this is strange.
No, just because I didn't have time to look for it.
Okay. So anyhow, then let's continue then. As we discussed before, after the working with speaker and presenting the presentation to him and ask him, including some sounds from him, you ideally have some list of words. And then there is a function rename sound files that do something with your files. So here I have the files 1, 2, 3, and I want to rename them, and I can use different things. First, I have an argument stimuli that is just our stimuli, kik. Then I have prefix argument if I want, and then there is a path argument. Probably here I can type getVD. But if you have different speakers, you can just type the path to this different speaker like this. So here, the working directory is root, and then you have one folder S1, and then you have 3 files there, and S2 and 3 files there. So this is the assumption of this picture. But for us, we have in those files in our working directory. So I can do something like this. And as you can see over here, it changed. First, there is 1, 2, 3 at the beginning, but this is 1, 2, 3 is not corresponding to 1, 2, 3 previous 1, 2, 3. Because it's just outer renamed, outer numbered this for me. Then there is a prefix like this one, S1, that corresponds to speaker. And then there is a key card, so this is the thing that we had from stimuli. Another thing that it's created is backup. Because, you know, I've spent a lot of time renaming files, but the worst thing is when you suppose that you have that you have everything correct, but then something is wrong. Because after this, you need to rename them, listening one file by file and renaming these hand by hand. And this is painful. So it's better to have backup in order to do that. What we have in the backup folder. In the backup folder, we have previous files and logging csv.csv file. This logging.csv file is actually just corresponding of what changed to what. It's actually can be used in order to reverse changes that we already made. So this is 1 WAF corresponds to this one, 2 WAF corresponds to this one, and 3 corresponds to this one. Is it clear with the backup?
It is.
Sorry?
Yeah, it is. It is clear.
Okay. So this is really painful. So that's why I have backup. But sometimes it makes things much worse. What are the situation for this? The situation for this will be, for instance, imagine that you, for some reason, have a long files and you want to rename them. Then creating a backup. So for instance, imagine that you have 10 gigabytes or gigabytes of sound. And then you make a backup that of the same size. This is like a really weird situation, and you definitely don't want to do this. So maybe then it's better to make backup yourself. There is also additional, so let's go probably here, and I will do the weird thing. I will copy back my files. Oh no. Maybe I remove this and copy them and then remove it back. So here is the previous situation in my folder. And there are additional arguments that you can use. First, first we can turn backup off. So I'm typing backup false. And after this, it's creating, it renames everything. There is no any backup for this anymore. But there is still this logging CSV file. Okay, let's destroy this. I need to rename it. Rename. Wow, pin. Interesting what it's doing. 2, 3. Okay, so now we can turn backup true, for instance, but turn off logging. So creating this logging CSV file. And I also want to remove auto numbering. Auto numbering. So now after I turn off auto numbering, there is now any 1, 2, 3 in the beginning of the file. There is also this, there is still backup with our files. Yeah, something like this. So you can play around with the arguments of this function in order to make it whatever you like. But remember that this backup is default behavior because there is a lot of tiers that could be that will appear if you don't do backups. Okay, and I have 5 minutes in order to present you something new. Okay, so maybe then I will continue sharing and just continue this section. There is also possible to get sound duration, as we discussed before. I think we discussed this. So for instance, if we want to know the duration of this file, or S2 or S1 cook, for instance, you can use the simple function get sound duration. And it's also possible to read from folder and get the duration of all files in the folder like this. Again, I'm using this getvd folder that returns current working directory. So this is useful. This is handy. Okay. I think we discussed it once. So I don't think that I need, and it's more or less clear what's going on. So I won't stop on this. Yeah, and maybe I will present you even next section that is merging all your data. This is really simple. So concatenate sound files. Then we have getvd, and result file will be S1O. And as you see over here, the new files created. This is S1O text grid and S1O WAV. Maybe it's impossible to do like this, but I think it's possible to do like, like this. And then here it is. And if I type, I don't want formats. So as you see, this is not any smart thing, but it's automatically merged multiple files using this and created a text grid with the, it's interesting what's there. It's a strange thing. I need to investigate this. So anyhow, it created a text grid with the file names in there. And these file names can be used for further annotation. Okay, is it more or less clear what's happened now?
Yeah.
I think we continue next time. We continue on doing the same thing. So we continue to explore from fieldwork and how we can use it in the fieldwork. And that's all for today, I think. And sorry for not updating our website. I will update it now. So if you don't have any questions, or if you have any questions, please ask them. Okay, so if nobody can have any questions, let's call it a day. And see you next week. Have a nice week for until the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.